Welcome, sports fans. What's going on tonight? How y'all running? Everything good? Let me grab my remote really quick. What? How y'all running tonight? Everything good with you? We got some good info. We got some good information. We got some good stuff going on. So I was checking out. I was checking out my All NBA teams, and I was breaking down the guards. And you know that they got DeMar DeRozan listed as a power forward? That doesn't make much sense to me at all. I don't know what the logic is on that, but I mean, they got DeMar DeRozan listed as a power forward, and he's not a four-man. We all know that he's not a four-man, right? So I'm trying to figure out with him being listed at that, does that mean that he's going to be in the conversation to be an All-NBA performer at the four? I'm like, wait a minute. This dude has played two guard his entire career. I mean, they had him listed at the small forward, I think, in San Antonio one season. And I think that was the year that Ginobili was already gone. But they have him listed this season under this season, the 21-22 season, they got him listed at the four spot. And I'm thinking, he does not play the four spot in Chicago. No, he does not. No, that is not true. So I'm trying to understand the logic of that. But what I did was I went back 20 years, right? What's up, Jay? How you doing, brother? I went back 20 years, and that's as far as because I didn't need to go back to the 80s because I saw all the All-NBA teams, and I only counted 4. I think that it may be more than that. I think I might have missed one, but I only counted 4 guys in the last 20 years. I didn't even go back to the 80s or the 70s. Only because I know Jabbar made the All-NBA team, and his team didn't make the playoffs in the 75-76 season. I know about that. But I only went back the last 20 years. And in the last 20 years, I only counted 4 guys whose team did not make the playoffs, and they made the All-NBA team. And those 4 guys are Kevin Love, Dragic, DeMarcus Cousins, Boogie, and Tracy McGrady. And the exception to these guys was, I mean, they was doing work. DeMarcus Cousins made the All-NBA team. He was 24-14. Same thing with Kevin Love. He was 26-13. It's pretty difficult to keep a dude that's 26-13 off the All-NBA team. I mean, Tracy McGrady, he made the All-NBA team in the 03-04 season. He led the league in scoring. And his team didn't make the playoffs. So it's kind of difficult to, I mean, I do understand that logic, but essentially what they're telling us is, in order for you to be on the All-NBA team, not only do you have to do work, your team got to be good. Your team has to be good too. It can't just be you just doing work. And if you are doing work, it has to be an exception. I mean, 4 guys in 20 years, that's once every 5 years. Right? So there are exceptions. For the most part, these guys that are making an All-NBA team are on teams that are in the playoffs at minimum, right? They are in the playoffs at minimum. So I look at the forwards list. I started with the guards list, and I looked at the forwards list, and then I looked at the centers list. So does that mean that guys like DeJounte Murray and Sabonis, I think these guys are out? Or are they? Because, I mean, San Antonio is right on the cusp of making the playoffs. They right there. Even though I'm not that big a fan of the play-in tournament, these guys are right there at the cusp of making the playoffs. So does he get consideration? Does he not? I don't know, man. But this is really interesting stuff with the All NBA team, because the guards that I have, right? The guards that I have, and I'm gonna have this same conversation with my man Tone, and make sure you catch it tomorrow morning on our YouTube channel with Fluent and Chill. I'm gonna have this same conversation with him. I had this same conversation with him. You can catch it tomorrow morning on Fluent and Chill, where the guards that I have, I got Trae Young, Ja, Luka, Steph, DeRozan, Book, Donovan Mitchell, Zach, Darius Garland, James Harden, Chris Paul. Those are the guards. And these are the guards who I think are eligible to make the All-NBA team, right? And then in the forward spots, I think it's James, Giannis, Durant, Tatum, Zach LaVine, who's listed at the forward spot. Zach LaVine, Jaylen Brown, Siakam, Sabonis, and Butler. Those are the guys listed at the forward spots. And then at the 5, it's Joker, Embiid, Cat, Rudy, and Bam. Those are the 5 guys at the 5 spot who are eligible to be All-NBA performers. So you could bunch it up in a number of different ways, but I'm just trying to make sense of how DeRozan is listed as a forward spot, as a 4. Now, when I hear the logic of Devin Booker should be in the MVP race, or he goes ahead of DeMar DeRozan on an All-NBA team, I'm not laughing at it. I just disagree with it, and I disagree with it simply because DeMar DeRozan has been at the top. The Chicago Bulls have been at the top of the Eastern Conference the entire season, and it's been largely due to him. He's been the catalyst to keeping them at the top of the Eastern Conference. Book has not been the catalyst for keeping the Phoenix Suns at the top of the Western Conference. That's largely due to Chris Paul. He completes that unit. Without Chris Paul, that unit is missing something, right? That unit is still good without him, but with him, now they are complete. So when I look at, I think that DeMar gets the edge on Book. He averages more points than him. 2, I think that I think he's a go-to guy. I don't think that Book is a go-to guy like DeRozan is. I think Book is a go-to guy, but I think he's a go-to guy within what they're doing. DeRozan is absolutely a go-to guy. So when I look at those two, that disparity, I don't think that Book goes ahead of DeRozan. I think that I personally have DeRozan as a first-team All-NBA performer. I had him at the guard spot, and I think he's a first-team All-NBA performer. I think it's him and Luka, to be honest with you. I think Ja has an argument simply because when you are in the MVP conversation, you have to be in the first team All-NBA conversation. You have to be when you're in the MVP conversation. I don't care where you stand in it, but when they're talking about you for league MVP, you have to be in the conversation to be a first team All-NBA performer. So with that being said, Ja has to be in that conversation, but I think Luka goes ahead of him simply because of what Luka has done all season and what he's done with that Dallas team. Because like I just told you, I only count 4 guys in the last 20 years. I didn't even go back to the 80s. I didn't have to go back to the 80s. But I only count 4 guys in the last 20 years that made the All-NBA team that didn't make the playoffs. And I'm looking at what Luka's doing as opposed to what Ja's doing. And Ja was playing better at one point. Ja was absolutely playing better at one point, but I think Luka gets the edge on him. So that's my initial rant, right? That's my initial rant. So, And I'm glad you here, Steady, because we gotta clean something up. You said yesterday to me about Moses Malone being MVP on a sixth place team. You told me that yesterday. Is that not correct? Well, you got your facts screwed up. And the reason why you got your facts screwed up, is because, well, number one, they weren't in sixth place. This is the 81-82 season when Moses won the league MVP. They weren't in sixth place. They were in fifth place, but they were tied for fourth place. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the same team that this is the same logic that I heard about James Harden winning league MVP the year Giannis won it, when they were in fourth place. And James Harden went 34. I think he went 34, 7, and 6. Well, Moses went 35. Moses went 31 and 15 that year. Just so you know, he went 31 and 15 that year. So I just want to put that out there. Now, Vic. Now, Vic. Let's make sure we clear. You just said Book over DeRozan all day. You talking about him being a better player? That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. Number one, I don't think he's a better player than Book. And number two, this is about the season that they had. Devin Booker did not have a better season than DeMar DeRozan. That's not true. That is not true. There's no disputing that DeMar DeRozan had a better season than Devin Booker. Devin Booker was on a better team. No question about that. But DeMar DeRozan had a better season than him. So that part can't be that part can't be misunderstood. It cannot be. No. That part cannot be misunderstood. So that's like I said, that's as far as I'm going. Yes, Drew Brees is a top 5 quarterback all time. That's as far as I'm going with the All-NBA team. I gave you my list of guys. You'll find out tomorrow morning when if you tune in. You'll find out tomorrow morning who my All-NBA team is, who I have on the All-NBA team. But those are the guys that I have listed. So Drew Brees is not underrated. No, he is not. He is not underrated. He wasn't better than Montana. He wasn't better than Brady. He wasn't better than Peyton Manning. So, no, he is not underrated. No, he is not. That's not true. He's properly rated. Now, I think that he might have gotten jobbed where I still have a difficult time trying to figure out why he never won the league MVP, but that's another conversation for another day. No, I don't. Is Mikal Bridges the best on-ball defender in the league? I don't think so. I think that honor goes to, and I said this before the season started, and I stand on it. I think Drew Holiday is the best perimeter defender in the game, and I stand on that. The job that he did on Chris. When you are telling me or asking me about when you're asking me about a guy being the best perimeter defender or the best on-ball defender, there has to be something signature. And the job that Drew Holiday did on Chris Paul in the finals, the way he shut the door on Damian Lillard in the 17-18 season, when they swept them out of the playoffs. These are signature performances from him. And this is something that's been leading up to him being that. Now, before him, I think it was Kawhi Leonard. But I think Mikal Bridges is becoming that. I don't think he's there yet. I still think that Drew Holiday is the best perimeter defender in the game. No doubt about it. No doubt. That can't happen, Mo. I think you're absolutely right about that. Well, Andrew, I'm glad you mentioned that about Jaren Jackson, because when I look at what Jaren Jackson has done this year, he's got the same defensive rating as Giannis. He's got the same defensive win share as Giannis. He's got a lower defensive plus minus than Giannis. That's the kicker right there. That is the kicker, because he's got a higher defensive rating than Rudy. He's got a higher defensive rating than Mikal Bridges. He's got a higher defensive rating than Bam. But I think the disparity between him and Giannis is the plus, not only the plus minus. I saw what he did. Was it that game-saving block? Was it last night or was it 2 nights ago? Where he came from one side of the floor to the other side of the floor against San Antonio to basically save the game. He doesn't do that. They go into overtime, and they may very well lose. But Giannis also has that. That's not something that Giannis doesn't have too. You saw what Giannis did a couple of nights ago on Embiid, right? I saw what he did a couple of nights ago in Embiid. So I think that this defensive player of the year, I think it's going to be really close. I still think it's Giannis. I think that Mikal Bridges has got a good shot. I think that if you're going off the numbers, it's between Jaren Jackson and Giannis. Those are the two guys. So I'm not ready for. I actually am ready for a Bucks Nets matchup because I want the Nets out the playoffs. And the reason why I want the Nets out the playoffs, not because I'm a Nets hater. I'm not a Nets hater. I just am. What I want is I want this whole notion of just being able to outscore everybody. I want that notion out of here. And I want it to be made clear that you are not beating anybody if you think that you're just going to outscore teams. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. If you think that you're just going to come in here and you're not going to play defense and you're not going to lock down and rebound and you're just going to outscore everybody, you got another thing coming. That's why I want the Nets out. For that reason right there. I'm glad you mentioned that. You said that the Warriors used to do it. The Warriors never did that. I don't know if you remember this, but the Warriors always had a top 10 defense every year. You think that Draymond was winning Defensive Player of the Year because that unit was whacked defensively? They were always at the top of the league defensively. That's why Draymond Green was always in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, because they always had one of the better teams in the league. Just because they were loaded offensively doesn't mean that they wasn't playing defense. In fact, the reason why that offense was the way it was because it was getting translated from their defense. A lot of their offense was created from their defense. That's how they was able to speed the game up. Don't make it sound like the Warriors just was going at everybody and just shooting the lights out every night. That was a lockdown team. Knock it off. Knock that off. Mm-hmm. Trey is not 32 and 12. Trey is 28. He's almost 30 and 10. I think he's 28 and 9. He's 28 and almost 10. So I rounded it out to 28 and 10. Mm-hmm. So you can, as many players as you name, you can run off a bunch of different players. But the reality is as a team, that Warriors team, the reason why they were rolling the way that they were rolling is because they always had one of the better defensive teams in the game. They wasn't in the finals 5 times because they was just out shooting everybody. No, that wasn't happening. That was not happening. Mm-mm. No, actually 1, 2, 3, 28 and 10 isn't very good. 19 and 9 is very good. 28 and 10 is elite. 28 and 10, I mean, 28 a game, I'm in the top 5 in the league in scoring. 10 assists, I'm at the top of the league in assists at 10 assists. 28 and 10 is not very good. 28 and 10 is elite. So mm-hmm. Yeah, Jonas, I see that, man. Well, it's ruined mine too, Jonas, and simply because I watched that Heat team last night and I watched what they did to Boston and how they exposed Boston. A lot of the stuff that they were getting was downhill and it was in the middle. And that's largely due to the fact that we don't have our best interior defender. They had a lot of second chance points. Pardon me. They had a lot of second chance points last night. And the reason why, because we don't have our best rebounder. They were going downhill and getting to the rim and getting buckets. Why? We don't have our best rim protector. We don't have our best interior defender to veer you away from the paint. So it was obvious what the game plan was. We're going to go at Dice. We're going to go at Horford. Yeah, we're going to go at these guys. right? We're definitely going to go at these guys. And had they had their better big man, had they had the better big man that they had, I think that they would have handled Miami. Absolutely, I do. No doubt about it. Mm-hmm. Of all the Kobe comparisons, who do you think is the closest? Nobody. Ain't nobody in the game like him today. I don't see nobody in the game like him today. Nobody. So that answers, I hope that answers your question. I don't see nobody in the game like him today. Nobody. Mm-mm. The only three players that average at least 20 and 10 are Kevin Johnson, Magic, and Isaiah. So you're just gonna forget about Russell Westbrook, huh? Forget him. He don't matter. I can understand that if you don't think he matters, that's fine. But he does matter though. So mhm. I don't have any thoughts on the Lakers. I don't think James is playing tonight again. Anthony Davis is a game time decision. So I do think I have such a difficult time, right? I have such a difficult time with the Lakers because there's such a an up and down unit. I mean, there's such an up and down unit, and they just look like a team that's disjointed, and they just don't look like they have not any motivation. They just look like a team that James is having a lot of fun, but the rest of these dudes is like, yo, if we could just get this over and get through the rest of the season, I'll be great. I'll absolutely be great. No doubt about it. Nice job, Justin. Nice job, brother. Nice job. Because I know how hard that is. I do. I do know how hard that is. Westbrook didn't average 20 and 10. When didn't he average 20 and 10? You mean for their career? Is that what you're saying? Because Russell Westbrook got a 5-year span where he was 20 and 10 for 5 years. I don't know if you know that, but now for his career, he's not 20 and 10. But Russell Westbrook was 20 and 10 for over 5 years. I don't know where you're getting that logic from. I like Bobby Wagner signing that 5-year deal. I would have loved to have gotten him with the 49ers, but I think they did a good job in replacing Von Miller. I think Bobby Wagner is arguably the best tackler in the league. He had a 20-tackle game this season. He had a 20-tackle game last season. I know that's nuts to say, but yeah, he had a 20-tackle game. We're talking sideline. When you have a 20-tackle game, that's sideline to sideline, my man. You are not playing when you're doing that. So he's from Los Angeles too, so I think that's dope. So don't hurt him too bad, legend. Don't hurt him too bad. don't hurt him too bad. Chill out, yo. Mm-hmm. Well, I shouldn't be surprised. To be honest with you, I mean, did the Jazz not give up a 25-point lead last year in the playoffs against the Clippers? I told you I'm over. I think it's time to move on from Quinn Snyder. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't think if you are looking for me to talk to you about the Clippers being a threat in the playoffs, you're not going to get anything from me. The Clippers are a first-round exit. They are. There is no way you're selling me that the Clippers are going to make any noise in the playoffs. They are a first-round exit. Paul George has been out the entire season. The entire season. There's no way that you're selling. Now, if you want me to talk about the Clippers, all right, that's something different. But there's no way you're selling me that the Clippers are – there's no way that you're selling me that the Clippers are going to be any sort of threat in the playoffs. I don't think that they beat in Phoenix. I don't think that they beat in Memphis. I don't think that they'll beat the Warriors. Any of those teams, I don't think that they can beat them. No. But we know who Paul George is. I was actually surprised that he came back as sharp as he did. He looked really good. Now, that's the first game. Paul George's athleticism is still there. He looked really good in the mid-range. He looked good going downhill, getting to the basket, and getting to the line. He looked really good. For some reason, he seems to have, since he's been with the Clippers, he's played well against the Jazz. When he was in Oklahoma City, he was whack against the Jazz. Super whack. So he looked really sharp. Now, what I'd like to see going forward is, can he continue this? Because once you get back into the lineup that first game, of course you get excited. And, once you get all of that stuff out, now you have to get back into a rhythm. And now we got to work this dude back into what we're doing. I mean, it looked good in the first game. I'm not going to fight that. But we'll see what happens with him. You're not going to get me to talk about the Rams. No way are you going to get me to talk about the Rams. I'm not trying to hear that. My 49ers, we had them dudes beat. We were a better team than they were. We beat them twice last season. Not only did we beat them twice last season, we were up 17-7 in the second half. So you're not going to get me to talk about them. No, I'm not doing that. Nope, not happening. Absolutely. Well, don't forget this, Darrell, right? Also don't forget this. I'll get with you in a second, Steady. Don't forget this, too. Luka got himself in better shape. Not only did Luka get himself in better shape, Luka became more of a playmaker, more of a distributor. Do you see Luka complaining as much as he did in the past? Because I don't see him complaining to the referees and doing all of that nonsense that he was doing 2 years ago nearly as much. He looks like he's locked in more to what Jason Kidd is selling than he was with Rick Carlisle. Way more. And I think it's really impressive what he's done. I think it's really impressive what Jason Kidd has done with that unit. I mean, you see the numbers that Luka is putting up, but these guys playing off of him, Jalen Brunson, they haven't had Tim Hardaway in the lineup, and they still rolling, right? Finney Smith looks really good. So I see what Jason Kidd is doing, and I think that it's downplayed. I don't think that he's getting enough credit for what he's done with this unit, and he absolutely should. No doubt about that. Mm-hmm. Is that game, what's today? Today is Thursday, right? I think that game is on tonight. Let me make sure. I'm pretty confident that that game is on tonight. I'm going to watch that. Yeah, that game is on at 7:30 tonight. I'm going to watch that game, no doubt. I think the Bucks handled him. Why are you asking me if you already think that it's Dirk's? You already think it's Dirk's championship. You think Dirk's championship is more impressive. I think the 2016 championship is more impressive. Absolutely think that. Mm-hmm. I don't think Trey is better than Luka. I think that Trey is in the conversation, but I don't think he's better than Luka. I'm having a difficult time with that. I don't know, Andrew. Thanks for that, though. I appreciate you, my man. I don't think that I don't think that Trey is better than Luka. And I think that the disparity between them two is this. It's not like this. I mean, Luka bigger. I think Luka is slightly a better playmaker. I think he's a better one-on-one player than Trey. I think he's better at getting his shot off than Trey. I think he's just as good, if not better, a better passer and playmaker than Trey. If I was choosing between those two, it'd be hard for me to take Trey over Luka. It'd be hard for me to do that. But I would definitely, I would go with Luka over Trey, but it would be like, it's not that big of a disparity. It is not. I know he said Luka better. And that's what I got people in here that's telling me that Trey better than Luka. I'm like, you're not getting me to. That's why I said you're not getting me to say that, because I don't believe that at all. Not at all do I believe that. Actually, he's not, my man. Luka is not a chubby baller. He's gotten himself in a lot better shape. He's definitely in better shape than what he was earlier this season. And I think that's largely due to Jason Kidd and what Jason Kidd demanded of him. Yo, you got to get the reason why Luka was getting banged up the way he was getting banged up, because he wasn't taking care of his body. Luka was just showing up. That's what he was doing. Luka was just showing up. I don't think you got to go with the taller guy every time, Rand. That's not the case every time. But in this particular situation, I'm going with Luka. I'm definitely going with Luka. And I'm not the 2011 Mavs. You think that's a better championship than the 16? That's a better championship than the 16 Cavs? I disagree. Even though I saw the 11 Mavs, they had to go through a young Oklahoma City team. Yeah, they did. They had to go through a young Oklahoma City team, and they handled them. They swept the Lakers, right? And they dealt with they dealt with James and that Heat team. I can't fight that at all. But that 15-16 Cavs team, first of all, they swept a 60-win Atlanta Hawk team in the Eastern Conference Finals. Swept these dudes out the playoffs by 4 All-Stars on that team and swept them out the playoffs. And came back from a 3-1 deficit on the best team in NBA history regular season. Came back and beat these dudes in their building in Game 7. It don't get better than that. I just don't think it gets better than that. And I just told you what they did. I already know about Dirk sweeping the Lakers. I can get with that logic, sure. No doubt about that. I can get with that logic. Not only don't just say the Lakers, Steady. Nah, don't stop with the Lakers. This is the defending NBA champion Lakers. They won the championship the year before that. And Dallas swept them out the playoffs. So that's a huge deal. To sweep them out, absolutely. That's a big deal. But when I think about what Cleveland did, and they didn't, I got my years screwed up because they swept Atlanta in 15. They ain't sweep them in 16. I got my years screwed up. They swept them. That was a 60-win team that they swept in 15. That wasn't in 16. I got my years screwed up. That's my fault. Which makes it even better because Kevin Love got hurt that year. He got hurt in the first round of the playoffs against Boston. And they swept them dudes out the playoffs. That's nuts. Drex was better than Paul George. Yes, he was. I think that Drex was better than Paul George. Took two teams to the NBA Finals. Took 2 of them. to the NBA Finals. Couldn't get over the hump. Lost to Isaiah and Joe Dumars and that Detroit Pistons team, which they won back-to-back championships, and then lost to Jordan. So went to the NBA championship twice in 3 years, and then got on that Houston team as a number 2, and they won the NBA championship. So he was better than him, yo. I think he was better than Paul. I think Paul George was a better defender, but I think Drex was a better all-around player than him. I do. Yes, Clyde Drexler's game translates today. Drex would be as fast as the game is today, as fast as the game is today, as wide open as the game is today, Drex would be incredible in today's game. You guys get wrapped up in just shooting the long ball, and you forget about the transition aspect of the game. You forget about getting to the free throw line. You forget about the one-on-one game. Drex was an incredible one-on-one player. Drex was awesome in the mid-range. He would be incredible today, absolutely. No doubt about that. No doubt. Who said that Clyde Drexler was better than Kobe Bryant? I'm all ears to hear this. You think Drex was better than Kobe Bryant? Okay, I'm all ears to hear that. I'm definitely all ears to hear that. Let's hear it. I'm going to stop talking. I'm all ears to hear. I'm going to stop talking, and I want to hear this. Oh, I thought you were about to come with some logic. So you just like Drex more than you like Bryant. Okay, I can get with that. If you like him more, okay, I take no issue with that. However, that's something different. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I did. Yes, I did watch it. It's good, Justin. It was 86 degrees today in South Florida. Who's the better all-around player, PG, Jimmy Butler, or DeMar DeRozan? I think Paul George was a better athlete than Jimmy Butler. I think he was a better offensive player than Jimmy Butler. I think he was a better defensive player than Jimmy Butler. So I think he was better than Jimmy Butler when he's healthy. No doubt about that. And I think that he was a better overall player than DeMar DeRozan. I do. Mm-hmm. I do think he was a better overall player than DeMar DeRozan. Yo. Good to see you, JB. Take care, brother. So I'm actually looking forward to this Milwaukee Bucks. I'm looking forward to this Bucks Nets game tonight. Foul. Nice. I did not see that JJ Redick said Giannis isn't the top 3 player in the league. And I would definitely like to know his logic on that. I would definitely like to hear his logic on that. Because that sounds nuts to me. I think he's the best player in the world. That's definitely a hot take to say something like that Giannis isn't a top 3 player. Wow. All right. Well, Jeremy, you got to remember that Wade was awesome in the finals more than he was awesome in the entire playoffs. He was awesome in the playoffs, but he was awesome in the finals more. So if you're asking me between the two, I'm going with Leonard. The job that he did on Giannis, who was the league MVP, and what they did against that Warrior team, and how bad, because Kyle Lowry wasn't good at all in that series. He wasn't. Leonard and Siakam were the difference. Didn't add Van Fleet into that, and OG and what he was doing. I think that 19 playoff run with Leonard. That's why I have such a difficult time when I hear people telling me about how that Toronto team was a fluke. Because if Leonard comes back to them in the 1920 season, I think at minimum they're in the finals again. I'm not going to say with 100% certainty they win it because that Lakers team was really good. But at minimum, I think that they're in the finals again. No doubt about it. At minimum. No doubt in my mind. My top 5 favorite Biggie songs. Just Biggie on it. Wow. In no particular order, 10 Crack Commandments, Going Back to Cali, The What, Unbelievable. I Got a Story to Tell. I can listen to those 5 songs on repeat on a regular. It doesn't mean anything for his legacy. And the reason why it doesn't mean anything for his legacy is because if he doesn't continue to play at a high level, then he's not going to be looked at like that. Let's make sure we clear. Giannis just became elite. He won the league MVP in the 18-19 season, won it again in the 19-20 season. And then he won the NBA championship in the 2021 season. Up until that point, he was just really good. So I can appreciate the logic of winning, right? I can absolutely appreciate the logic of winning because I take that very seriously. But when you talk about the all-time great players, because I hear this, if Giannis would have won another MVP, if Giannis would have won the NBA championship, does that mean that he's a top 10 player all time? When you talk about the greatest players of all time, James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel, Bryant, West, Oscar Robertson, Steph Curry, Moses Malone, Doc, Kevin Durant, Kevin Garnett. When you're talking about the greatest players of all time, what's the one staple, Malone, that these guys have that other people don't have? We already know about winning, but what is the one staple? What's the one thing that these guys have that these other guys don't have? The one thing that they have is that these guys are awesome for a long time. They are awesome they wasn't awesome for 3 or 4 years where they did this or they did that, right? They were awesome for a long time. So for me to start talking about Giannis, in that category, I have to see, and you already know how I feel about Giannis. I don't like Giannis. I love Giannis. He's the best player in the game. But I need to see sustained greatness James has been around for a long time. Bryant, these guys have been around for a long time. Absolutely. No doubt about that. Mm-hmm. Ten Crack Commandments are absolutely in there. Did I leave out 10 Crack Commandments? Damn. Yeah. I got Moses Malone at 15. I got Karl Malone at 17. 17 or 18, I got Karl Malone. Yeah, I got him I got Karl Malone at 17 or 18. One of those. I got Kevin Durant at 17. I got Malone at 18. I got KG at 19. And I think I got Havlicek at 20. Who are we talking about? Wade in 06. And who else was we talking about? Refresh my memory so I'm clear, so I can remember this correctly. It was Wade 2006 against who? Against Leonard. And Leonard, I think Leonard averaged 30 a game in them playoffs that year. I think he averaged 30 a game that year in the playoffs. 30 and 7. The entire playoffs. If I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% confident, but it's pretty close. I think he averaged 30 and 7 in the playoffs that year, the entire playoffs. So yeah, I got Malone at 17. I got him behind KD and Doc. Moses Malone, Doc, KD, Karl Malone. That's where I have him at. Now we talking. If we talking about that right there, 28 and 11 and 6 for 7 or 8 more years, can he make the conversation? If top 10 or top 5? I get you dudes get so wrapped up in this top 5 thing, man. You know how hard it is to be a top 5 player all time? You know what you got to do? Damn. You understand what you have to do to be a top 5 player all time? All time. That means that in the 75-year history, it's only 5 dudes better. You know how difficult that is? How nuts that sounds. And to see this dude who just got nice over the last, who just became, I'm not going to say just got nice, who became elite over the last 3-4 years, to entertain having him in that conversation. LeBron James in the 2013 season had just won back-to-back league MVPs. He had won the league MVP 4 times in 5 years and had won back-to-back NBA championships. And I wasn't ready to have that conversation because it's only in year 9. So for you to tell me that, like, can he be top 5? Don't talk to me about this dude in that conversation because he don't belong there yet. I'm not having that, man. No. I'm not listening to that. No. I'm tired of hearing you guys talk to me about that, yo. I have a difficult time with that because that's like me coming to your job and I've been great at your job. I've been great at the job that we work at over the last 3 years. You've been doing this for 12 straight years. And now somebody says, yo, you think OG, if he kept this up for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years, he could be on the same level? No. Until he does that, don't talk to me about OG. Don't. Until he does that, don't talk to me about OG. Talk to me about this dude. Talk to me about this dude. Talk to me about this dude. Don't talk to me about OG. He ain't been here long enough, man. He has not. And I get sick of it. I have such a difficult time when you guys throw these guys' names in with guys who are all-time greats. Do you know if Giannis retired today, he ain't in the top 100 all-time in scoring? Did you know that? Did you know that if he retired today, he ain't in the top 150 all-time in playoff points? Did you know that? Did you know that if Giannis retired today, he ain't in the top 150 in rebounds? Don't talk to me about Giannis being in the top 5 or even having that conversation. He got so much more work to do. I don't care about him winning the NBA championship twice in 2 years. I don't care about that. This dude got so much more work to do. No more of that nonsense. No more. I don't want to hear that no more. I'm not listening to that. I'm not. Machine Gun Funk is fire. Jesus, Machine Gun Funk. Biggie got so many dope songs, B. So many dope songs. So many. Oh, man. And to pick 5, you could pick another 5 and This could be the 5. And then you could take that 5 out and then pick another 5 and be like, well, wait a minute. Nah, this is 5. Let me ask you a question, Zillow, because I want to actually have a conversation about this. Prior to this season, prior to last season, right? Prior to the 2021 season, when the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA championship, Giannis had to have been close to the top 20. For you to put him in the top 20 of all time now, that means that he had to have been close last year. So my question to you is, what did he do prior to this season to be close to be a top 20 player all time? I'm all ears, my man. I'm all ears, my man. No, you said he is top 20. You said he's top 20. So I'm trying to figure out what this. Listen, Muhammad, I have such a different. And my frustration is probably coming out on you and it's unwarranted. But I have such a difficult time when I got to listen to people talk to me about guys who are just becoming great. And now we want to put them in the same category with all-time greats already. I have a really hard time with that. And my frustration is unwarranted, is as unwarranted as it is, it's being taken out on you, and you don't deserve that. But I get frustrated when I got to listen to people tell me about this guy is a top 10 player, this guy may be a top 15 player, when I'm thinking, what has this dude done to be in that conversation? What has this dude done to be like, when I, for example, John Havlicek is an 8-time All-League defender. He's an 11-time All-NBA performer, 13-time All-Star. That stuff matters, B. I know that you look at a player and go, I don't think this guy was a better player than him. But the things that you've done, that's why I have such a difficult time when I hear people saying, yo, OG, take accolades off the table. I want to crash. I'm going to give you a nugget right here, guys. I want to crash my car into a telephone pole standing on the gas. I can't handle it. I'm telling you right now, I can't. It makes me nuts when I hear that nonsense. I'm telling you. Because that stuff matters, man. It just does. That stuff matters way more. That stuff matters way more than what people give people credit for. What I've done matters, man. It does. It just matters, yo. Absolutely, it does. What you said before, Muhammad, it's exactly what you said before. If he could sustain that, then we could start having that conversation. But until then, I can't, man. I can't do it. Until then, I can't do it. I can't. Are you tripping on what, Zill? Right. That's why they did put him in the top 20. I think they got Giannis in the ESPN in the top 75. They got Giannis 18 all time. I'm thinking to myself, what has Giannis done to catapult himself? What has Giannis done to catapult himself to 18th all time? What the hell am I missing? Huh? This dude has been at the level that he's been. He just got here like 3 years ago. He just got great. Like 3 years ago. 18 all time? Wow. You know what you as a player throughout the course of your career, what you've done, that matters, man. I care about that. I know a lot of people, they don't care about that, and the reason why they don't care about that is because it doesn't favor their guy. That's why they want to take accolades off the table. You know, OG, take accolades off the table. Tracy McGrady or OG, take accolades off the table. Dwight Howard. And the reason why they say that, OG, take accolades off the table. Jerry West is the best guard in the game. And the reason why they say that is because those accolades and the things that they've accomplished don't match other people. And that stuff matters, B. Absolutely that matters. I mean, the fact that John Havlicek is an 11-time All-NBA performer, won the Finals MVP. He's an 8-time All-League defender. That means I'm elite on both sides of the basketball. Both sides of the basketball. He averaged over 20 a game for 8 straight years. That's a big deal, B. It's a big deal. Davion Mitchell, I've said this countless times, man. I don't like him in Sacramento. I don't like him there because he is on a crew where he's not. He should be on a crew where he's the full-time starter. That's where he should be in New Orleans, Washington, somewhere like that, where he is a full-time starter, not where he's playing behind somebody, coming off the bench. No. Where he's a full-time starter, because that I think I said this before. I look at Davion Mitchell and I thought that he should have been a lottery pick. And I think he's a cornerstone. He looked like he's the kind of guy where we might be able to build it around him. He looked like the type of dude that in the next 3-4 years, he's going to be like a Drew Holiday type. That kind of point guard, like a smaller version of DeJounte Murray. That's what he looked like to me, yo. That's exactly what he looked like to me. Just a couple of days ago, Andrew, I think it was yesterday, against Houston, he went off. I don't like him in Sacramento, man, because I think that he should be on a crew where he's the full-time starter, where you could see not just what he is, but what he will become. Like we see Jalen Green, and I hear a lot of people saying to me, yo, Jalen Green's going to be this guy in 2, 3, 4 years. Now, I got to tell you, I have to say that I can't say that Jalen Green is a franchise player, but I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. And the reason why I got to give him the benefit of the doubt is because I said the same thing about Giannis in 2015. I wasn't sure that Giannis was a franchise player. I wasn't looking at Giannis like that. I will say this, though. I was looking at Giannis thinking we had some teams that made a mistake in passing on him. This dude is awesome. I wasn't sure if he was a franchise player yet, but I did see some teams that had passed on him, and I'm thinking, you dudes made a mistake on this dude because he's going to be awesome. Well, I look at Jalen Green, and I don't know if he's a franchise player, but he looks like the kind of player who we might be able to build this thing around him. I don't know yet. He's only a rook, but he's high flying, and he looks like he's got a high ceiling. So I'm not sure yet. So and I'm not ready to have that conversation, Muhammad. I'm not ready to have that conversation about him finishing in the top 15 or in the top 5. And I'm not ready to have that conversation. No, I'm not. Yeah, Sean. And here's the thing, Sean. I don't think they switch it up dramatically. I just think that they need to switch up the coach. I think that they've gone as far as they're going to go with Quinn Snyder. I think that's it. I think that they've gone as far as they're at the end of the line with the coach. I don't think they go any further with him. I just don't. I'm not sure that they go any further with him, though. I think that, and I think in terms of talent, I think that they have the talent. I think that these guys have to be used in a different way than they are. I think Dwayne Wade had one of the better finals performances that I've ever seen. ever. I don't think he had a good finals performance. I don't think he had a great finals performance. That's one of the best finals performances that I've ever seen. But I think he shot the most free throws in finals history up until that point. Nobody has shot more free. I think he averaged 35 a game, 36 a game in those finals. He went nuts in those finals. That was one of the better finals performances that I've seen. But when I look at an overall playoff run, you can make the argument that Dwayne Wade had one of the 5 best playoff runs. But I could also make the argument that Leonard had one of the 5 best playoff runs. Not only that, but he also solidified himself as that guy. Even though he got on a team that was already put together, he solidified himself that what I did 5 years ago wasn't a fluke. I am the real deal. I am the real deal. So, absolutely. Mohammed, are you a Giannis guy? Do you want to hear that Giannis is the best player of all time? Because I'm not going to say that. Do you want to hear that Giannis is a top 10 player of all time? I'm not going to say that because he still has work to do. If he does that, then we'll have this conversation. Until he can do that, I can't have that conversation with you, my man. I can't. My thoughts on Anthony Edwards is that Anthony Edwards reminds me of Mitch Richmond, just more athletic. And if he can improve, if he can continue to improve, I think Cat is who he is. And I think the question that needs to be asked with Anthony Edwards is how are they going to build that unit around him and Cat? That's the question. Because I think that with D'Angelo Russell finally playing, they're now going to make the playoffs. But are they going to be able to take that next step? Because when you're talking about guys like Anthony Edwards, right, how are we going to talk about you? Are you just a good player? Are you going to be elite at your position? Are we going to be talking about you as one of the 5 best as one of the 5 best guards? Not just 2 guards, but 5 best guards in the game. So when I say that how they build that unit around him, it also coincides with how much better he gets. So if they're going to build that unit around him, which is interesting because when I think about Minnesota, I'm trying to figure out how they get better. How do they get better? Because they're going to have to trade guys, and they don't really have any trade assets outside of Edwards, Russell, and Cat. So they don't really have anything to trade that's going to make them significantly better, right? So when I say that, I'm thinking to myself, what can they do to make themselves better? Because they're going to have to do it through the draft and through trades because they're not bagging any big-time free agents. Nobody's coming up there. Nobody. So what can they do to get better? People are now starting to realize how good Memphis is without Ja. But what sticks out to me is how they just do everything right and with how young they are. And the reason that's happening, Darrell, is a lot of them dudes are still in their rook deals. And if you can imagine, like in pro football, like you see what's going on in Cincinnati, like they ain't really paying nobody. Joe Burrow's still on his rook deal. I mean, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Jamal Chase, these young guys, they don't really have to pay nobody yet. And when they got to start paying these guys, then it's going to get tricky. See, what happened with the Warriors was they ended up lucking out with Steph Curry because up until that MVP season, who was Steph Curry? Steph Curry was a good guard who had bad wheels. So they got him at a discount. They got Steph Curry on the cheap, and they didn't have to pay him. Same idea with Clay. They ain't have to pay him. They got Draymond Green as a second-round pick. They didn't have to pay him yet. But then they started rolling like they were rolling, and now all of a sudden, we got to open up the pocketbook. And now we got to start paying guys. And when you start paying guys, now you start to tear away at the fabric of the unit because we can't pay everybody. We're going to start losing people. So Memphis has to take advantage of what's going on right now with that unit because that window is not going to be open long. Ja's up in what? Let's see, this is year 3 for Ja. Ja's up in 2 years. They're gonna have to pay Ja. Desmond Bane, he's up. They're gonna have to pay him. Jaren Jackson, they got him on his rook deal, so they still got some time with him. But these guys, you're gonna have to start paying these guys, and it's gonna get tricky. It's gonna get real tricky. I don't like Giannis. I love Giannis. Like I said, Muhammad, I don't think Giannis is a great player. I think he's the best player in the game. You can't convince me about KD, James, Joker, Embiid, Curry. Even with everybody healthy, Anthony Davis, Luka, you can't convince me it's a better player in the game than Giannis when everybody's healthy. I think he's the best player in the game. But when we start having these conversations about him being an all-time great, and not just being an all-time great, when we start to have these conversations when it gets brought to me about him being in the same conversation with Magic and Jabbar and Olajuwon and Duncan, man, we definitely got trouble. Absolutely, Zillows. And you know why I'm saying that? It's because when I saw him against Leonard in 19 in the playoffs, is that the same Giannis that you saw when they basically swept them out of the playoffs after being down 2-0? Is that the same Giannis today that was going on 3 years ago? I don't think so neither. I think that's a completely different Giannis. And not only do I think it's a completely different Giannis, I don't think not only he got much better. I don't think it's a completely different Giannis. I don't just think it's a completely different Giannis. I think it's a more dominant Giannis, where it's almost like how James was in the 12-13 season, how Jordan was, where I'm in the matrix, where I'm moving slow or I'm moving fast and everybody's moving slow. That's kind of where I see him at this point. I think he's the best player. I don't think he's by far the best player in the game. I don't think that, but I do believe he's the best player in the game. I do. No doubt about it. I do, King, I disagree with you. I do think he wanted, simply because of what had happened when they had played against Toronto, I think he wanted to rectify that. Because these players, contrary to what you may think, where they're ducking guys, when you get this impression of me, that's the tag on me. This dude owns me. This dude does this. This dude does that. I want to dispel all of that. I want to get to the bottom of that. That I'm not the same dude. Prime example would be KD in the finals in 16-17. What was the difference? Or what did you see in that 16-17 series when they went up against the Cavs? When you saw them in 16-17, what was the difference? What was the difference with KD? What do you think the difference was? Not only that, keep going, Sean. Don't stop there. Don't stop there. Absolutely, he was. He wasn't just sort of kind of doing that. He absolutely did that. And why do you think he did that? Now we talking. He wanted to make it clear that dude that you seen when you saw me in the 12 finals, this ain't the same dude. This is a different dude in front of you today. This is a completely different dude in front of you today. And I think Giannis wanted to do that with Leonard to show that this ain't the same dude this is not the same dude from 3 years ago. This is a different dude. And I want to show that. Absolutely, I want to show that. He absolutely was trying to dead that logic, Darrell. He was like, this ain't the same dude that you seen in 2012. Nope. This is a different dude today. And it was noticeable right from the beginning. It wasn't like it was something where I was thinking, this seems different. No, it was like, oh, he going after this dude. Yes, he is. Because he wants to get to the bottom of that logic right now. Definitely. So, all right. It's about that time for me, guys. No doubt. I want to get back. I want to definitely get into this Milwaukee game. So this is awesome. Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know where we at. And we're gonna keep doing this, right? We're gonna keep doing this. So we'll do it again soon. Until then, take it light, but take it.